Thank y'all for being here again at 2 Cents. This is where we talk about both sides of the coin. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Watch the whole video because I'm going to talk about both sides of the coin, all right? So let's go ahead and get started. So She-Hulk, the recent miniseries, has not really done that well. So we're getting into phase 4 of Marvel, about to transition to phase 5. And a lot of people had pretty high expectations for She-Hulk, and it didn't really deliver overall. And I'm going to talk about my opinion on why. So anytime you look at a character like She-Hulk, we have to understand what that character is connected to. She-Hulk, Supergirl, and Batwoman all have something in common. They aren't original characters. Now hear me out. Their existence is connected to the male version of that character. She-Hulk is connected to the Hulk. Supergirl is connected to Superman. Batwoman, Batgirl is connected to Batman. So anything that happens to the main character, the male character, such as Superman, Batman, and the Hulk, will inevitably affect the female character, okay? Here's what I mean. She-Hulk has been more so about female empowerment. It has a lot of female writers who are feminists, and many would argue that they are more activists that are posing as writers. The focus didn't seem to necessarily be on the comic book value of the character and making her very similar to the She-Hulk that people have seen for years in the comics. It seemed to be more so of bolstering the concept of female empowerment and the ideology of feminism. By doing that, they had to make Hulk look weaker. Here's a prime example. There's a scene in She-Hulk where the Hulk is trying to stop She-Hulk from leaving. He's training her and he's trying to stop her from leaving. She's like, nah, I'm out of here. And she claps her hands and has a huge impact. First clap has a big impact on him. And she just keeps continuously clapping. And the Hulk grabs his ears and he's screaming in pain and he's rolling around on the ground. However, in 2008, The Incredible Hulk, there's a scene where the Hulk is exposed to 2 sound cannons, these huge military sound cannons, and he has continuous exposure to these cannons for about 1.5 minutes. And it phases him, but he's not holding his ears. He's not rolling around on the ground. He holds up this piece of metal and he withstands it and he destroys both sound cannons. So one version of the Hulk, the older version, is brute strength, sheer rage. But this new version of the Hulk is kind of soft. Like, how can the Hulk in the 2008 version of the Hulk withstand these sound cannons and destroy them? But the current version of the Hulk is rolling around like a pansy on the ground from a few claps. What is the purpose of that? It's to make Jen, the She-Hulk, look stronger. And the way they're doing it is by debasing and devaluing and weakening the Hulk. So by making him look weak, they make her look strong. But She-Hulk is connected to the Hulk. She wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the Hulk. Okay. Hulk came out first. So people associate She-Hulk with Hulk. So if you pull the Hulk down, you're inevitably going to pull She-Hulk down. By making the Hulk look weak and stupid, the fans that have been grown over decades and watched the original Hulk series with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, the people who watched 2008's The Hulk and got used to that version of the Hulk, see this new version and they're like, this isn't the Hulk. How in the world can the Hulk stop a Chitauri giant, whatever them big old things are, with his forearm? How can he do that? But in She-Hulk, he gets ran over and thrown many feet into a pile of rocks by a Jeep. Help me understand. How can the Hulk rip apart an up-armored Humvee with his bare hands in the 2008 version of the Hulk? But yet he's thrown by a Jeep. Look at how much a Humvee, an up-armored Humvee weighs. And look at how much a Jeep weighs. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And I don't know that the writers of She-Hulk have thought about this stuff. I understand the concept of female empowerment. I understand the concept of representation. It makes sense. However, you have to think about your fan base, the primary fan base. If you demonize the fan base, the primary fan base, for not liking the content that you create, that's not a good solution. That's not a good way to keep those fans and to gain more fans. Same thing happened with Batwoman, the show on the CW. It doesn't generally do well. This doesn't do well. It dilutes the strength of the original male character. Okay. And that's generally not what fans want. Most of the comic book fans are male, and there's a certain age range. So if they don't like it and then you call them sexist, do you think guys hear that and they're just like, oh, well, I was called sexist? Oh, okay, well, you're right. So I'm going to go ahead and support everything you guys put out from here on out, right? Because I don't want to be labeled as sexist. No. A lot of guys are just like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to boycott. I'm not going to watch it. And it's not necessarily because they're sexist. It's because people can get associated and connected to a certain version of a character. And then when you present a completely different version, it's not the same one that they're used to. And you can't force people to like certain things. If you and I opened up a restaurant, let's say that we had an ice cream shop and we said that we were going to only sell one flavor, vanilla. Like that's all we're going to sell. And people come in on our opening day and they're like, where's the rest of the flavor? And like, we're selling vanilla. This is all we're selling. And then people start to complain. They're like, well, could we have a little bit of variety? And then we shame those customers who are suggesting what they want. And we're like, you guys don't even like ice cream, do you? That wouldn't make much sense as far as being a business is concerned, now would it? You have to appease the customer in order to retain the customer. You have to do research and see what people want in the community. Then you present it to them, then they come and consume that product. So you got to ask, like, do comic book movie fans want to see a weakened Hulk? Do comic book movie fans want to see the smart Hulk that's woke and wearing glasses and completely has all of his senses together? Like, or do they want to see what the Hulk originally was, a rage monster? So the beauty of the older versions of the Hulk was the duality of his personality. It was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was like Bruce Banner was navigating through society, trying his best not to trigger this monster that was in him, trying his best to avoid situations that make him mad, trying his best to be a force for good while basically being cursed. So it was like he was a different person when he transforms into the Hulk, and he would try anything he could, do anything he could to avoid subjecting society to that thing that was within him. But now we have a woke, cool, calm, and collected Hulk. And it's basically like it's a large version of Bruce Banner that's green. It's not the Hulk. It's big and green, but it's not the Hulk. Sorry. So Marvel has kind of gone down a different path during phase 4. And I could be wrong, but I predict that this is going to have a huge impact long-term on their success. Phase 4 is kind of showing us how phase 5 is going to be. And I've seen the lineup of movies for phase 6. There seems to be somewhat of an agenda. Okay. So female Thor, She-Hulk, like it's going a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with representation. However, if you want the fans to continue coming back, you have to give the fans what they want without shaming them for wanting what they want. What do you think? Put it in the comments. I would love to hear your opinion. I'd love to hear it. I know it can be a touchy subject for people, but please be respectful when you put your opinion in the comments, all right? So thank y'all for being here at 2 Cents. This is where we talk about both sides of the coin. Talk to you later. Bye.